Guys, the next sentence I say, please understand. I say it as a literal, lifelong Metallica fan, and as someone who genuinely, earnestly loves this band to this very day. Okay? That having been said, Metallica fans are the biggest bunch of goddamn babies in the entirety of the metal scene. Oh my god, they're fucking insufferable. 95% of the time you talk to the average Metallica fan, the very first thing they'll do is bitch about something. Usually it'll be the album in which they felt like the band definitively and permanently lost its way, man. Oh, after Saint Anger, this band was dead. Or after Load, it was all over. Or when they sold out with that ass cum, the Black Album, I swore that sell-off cunt back for life. Fuck you, Lars! Okay, sir, that's fine, but may I please take your order? And don't think this shit is a new phenomenon. Oh, hell no. Old school metalheads will tell you from back in the day that even Ride the Fucking Lightning took shit because they had the gall to use an acoustic guitar for like one small part of like one song for like a minute. Oh my god! I really have no idea what it is that makes Metallica fans so goddamn bitchy, but it seems like if you give them an inch to gripe, they'll always take a mile, and there's no greater case for this than, well, myself. Hell, guys, lest we forget, the very first thing we ever even did on this channel was bitch about Metallica. Yeah, I recognize that this whole opening rant is just an exercise in the pot calling the kettle black. I don't give a fuck. These albums can go fuck themselves, and I have very strong feelings about this band. Sir, would you please just order something? Ah! But with this album, we see the band in a very unique place. This is their first since 2008's Death Magnetic, and while, yeah, that's another album that will start a gripe torrent amongst most Metallica fans, I, for one, actually rather enjoyed it. Hell, I love it. That album being the big triumphant return since Saint Anger boiled everyone's piss, it was an album that, while not flawless, got Metallica back to sounding like themselves again. It got them serious about making kick-ass metal music again, and I figured as long as they didn't stray too far from that formula, then they would be doing just fine. And sure enough, that's more or less what they've done here. This album feels kinda like a direct continuation from Death Magnetic's more straight-ahead, no bullshit Metallica sound. And there's a few really kick-ass songs on here. The opener, Hardwired, is ferocious, ripping, and doesn't waste a second of time. Atlas Rise, Moth into Flame, and Halo on Fire show us that the band is still capable of twisting things around a bit and getting more complex with song structures and breakdowns. And I'll say this, Disc 2 closes insanely goddamn strong with what's probably gonna be one of the better Lemmy tributes to ever be written, Murder 1, and Spit Out the Bone, a song that kicks so much ass it sounds like it should be playing over the closing credits to a Terminator movie. A not sucky Terminator movie at that. But like I mentioned earlier, the tide likes to draw in, the bees like to rest on flowers, and Metallica fans like to find shit to complain about. And yes, I have no intention of breaking that stereotype here. You notice how I said Disc 2 on the end of that last paragraph? Yeah, this album is a 2-discer. Hell, it's a 3-discer if you went for the special edition, and it really does feel its length in places, especially in Disc 2. It may close strong, but it opens with a hell of a thud. Man Unkind, Here Comes Revenge, and Am I Savage just plod along with all that trying to sound massive and oversweeping style and tone, but they just end up sounding lethargic and sludgy. It's not effective. It's a guy who thinks he's got a lot of muscle mass, but he's just super fat and doesn't really want to admit it. And it's weird, the band went so far out of their way to make this album a longer affair, but it still feels like an album that's half filler. You know, if my issue with your plate of spaghetti is that it tastes bland and unsatisfying, piling more of it onto my plate doesn't exactly solve my problem here, buckaroo. This album is also weird in that it gives me mixed feelings, and Mixed feelings usually isn't something you say about a Metallica album. I mean, say what you want to about their discography, even the worst of their catalog, but one way or another, Metallica always elicits a strong response. In one direction or the other, but that response is usually strong. This is the first album I think I've ever heard from them where I just feel like, yeah, it's okay. And it is okay. It has some strong highs, but they don't ascend into the glorious. It has some shitty lows, but they aren't anything intolerable. Hell, if Metallica could ever produce an album that sounded like, for lack of a better term, generic Metallica, I feel like it would sound a lot like this. But again, it starts strong, it ends strong, it had a few melodies sticking in my head, and it's definitely something that I'll be listening to again, even if I will be hitting that skip button more than a few times. I mean, Metallica have delivered a solid outing here, but really, that's the best rating I can give it. Solid. Not outstanding, not exhilarating, or even really all that surprising, just solid. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it is a weird label to have to apply to a Metallica album, of all albums. God, you know it's been a weird year when the best new album to come out of the Big Four was from Anthrax. Holy shit. Hardwired to Self-Destruct gets 3.5 Inspector Gadget telegrams out of 5.